بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. We begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, most kind, and we bear witness that there is none other worthy of worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the last and final messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all better Muslims and better people and better human beings and improve our character in the dunya and the akhirah. Ameen. My dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, welcome to Ramadan Radio. You are listening to the Mindset Show with your host, Mubashar Latif, on Ramadan Radio 87.9 FM. And my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, if you have any questions, please send them in as a WhatsApp on 077 614 60614. And that's once again 077 614 60614. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening. Excuse me. If this is your first time for joining, thank you so much. If this is you've joined before, thank you for your continuous support and feedback. And it is with your support and feedback that we are here, that we are serving the community at large. And we are here every Ramadan to help you with any way we can with our shows to impact you. And we are here to serve you, who is the community at large. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. What are we talking about today? What are we talking about today? Well, this show is the Mindset Show, where we talk about anything and everything around mindset, positive, negative, good, bad, ugly, and so forth. So today, my dear sisters and brothers, mother mothers, we are talking about the Ramadan mindset. What is the Ramadan mindset? Before we come to that, any questions, as we said, please WhatsApp them on 077 614 60614. And we are live on Facebook and all the other social media handles and so forth. So please do tune in. We are also on www.ramadanradio.org. So please do join in, and please do share with your family, friends, and so forth, etc. And so, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, this is the Mindset Show with your host, coach and trainer of NLP Hypnosis, Mubashar Latif, and we are discussing today Ramadan Mindset. What is the Ramadan Mindset? What does the Ramadan Mindset mean? There's two key words here, Ramadan and mindset, right? So what are these two words? What is so special about these words, right? Excuse me. And how do they link together? Firstly, let's look at the word Ramadan, right? Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, where Muslims around the world, we fast from, so no food or drink from break of dawn to sunset. No food, no drink, no physical relations, etc. Right? And we also increase our spiritual actions, our spiritual deeds, and so forth, and we engage in greater prayer and worship during this month. Now, what is the other word? Mindset. What is mindset? Mindset is just a frame of mind that we have. It can be a good mindset, it can be a bad mindset, it can be positive, it can be negative, right? It can be whatever kind of mindset you have. It can be a productive one, it can be an unproductive one, it can be a lazy one. A mindset is just a frame of mind, right? In a nutshell, it's a frame of mind. So what does that mean? It's the frame of mind we have for Ramadan. But let's open this up and let's take a step back. Because as Muslims, we may overlook this point and we may see, we sometimes take it for granted. But if we look at this from an outsider's point of view, the whole year you get people who don't fast, people who don't pray, people who don't give to charity, Everyone eats and drinks in the day. All of a sudden, when the Imam has announced, or whatever local masjid you're going by, whatever source you're going by, has announced and confirmed that tomorrow is the start of Ramadan because a moon has been sighted, or whatever you follow, then as soon as we have that, it's like at a click of a switch. We now are waking up at 3:30 in the morning the next morning, when normally we might be waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're waking up at 3:30 in the morning. We are eating something, and maybe depending on your schedule, you might go back to sleep, you might stay awake, you engage in longer prayer, right? You engage in reading the Quran, you engage in other supplications of worship. Excuse me. Then you go through your day, you pray in the day, you do whatever in the day, you refrain from eating food and drink. Excuse me. You refrain from eating food and drink. You refrain from bad language if you use bad language. You refrain from doing any bad or immoral actions. Not that it's okay to do them in the whole year round, but you automatically refrain from doing that. And then comes the evening. It's about 8 o'clock right now, roughly. The fast opens, and then you eat, and then you pray, etc., etc. And then you have a longer evening prayer as well, right? Now, if we look at this from an outsider's point of view, this is a social phenomenon where millions and millions of people around the world are automatically, at the click of a switch, they're going to sleep at such and such time. They're waking up at such and such time in their time zones. And then they are staying hungry the entire so many hours of daylight. No food, no drink, no bad habits, no nothing. Being very cautious of what they do or what they say. And then all of a sudden, they start eating in the evening, right? And then they can enjoy the food, they can have drink, and etc., etc., right? But this is a social phenomenon, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers and father mothers. Why do we do it every year? We don't have to do it. Or rather, we say we do it because it's part of our faith, but then there's a lot of Muslims who don't do it, right? And if we don't do it, we're not going to get a fine. We're not going to get a court order or something, right? But why do we do it? Automatically, we do it. It's just like in our innate nature. It's like that special function on your phone that you never use, and then all of a sudden, one time you just click it, and it's there. You swipe it, and it's there, and you're using it, or you didn't know about it, and you just suddenly turn it on. Or it's like that light switch. If you move into a new house, for example, where's the light switch gone? And you find it, like, there's a light switch. It's an automatic switch. And this mindset, how do we get this mindset? Because of our faith, because of what we believe. But it isn't just because of what we believe of our faith. It is also what we see of what the importance is that we give it. Because the importance that we give our faith on a daily basis, right? It is the importance that we give our faith. It is the value that we give, right? And it is the belief we have around our belief. The belief around our belief, which a lot of people might think, well, our belief is just we're of this faith and that's it. But no, there is more than that. What is the evidence? On a daily basis, we all project our faith in a different manner. I've got my beard like this. Some people have it longer. Some people have it shorter. Some people have it like a number one stubble. Some people don't have a beard. Some Muslims, right? Some people wear a hat. Some people don't wear one. Some people wear the full jubba. We're all of the same faith. But our day-to-day beliefs, because there are flexibility, there are parameters, and within those parameters, we have a different belief. We have a different perspective, right? Like the sisters will wear their hijab in different ways. Some will wear them and some won't wear them. And those that wear them, they might wear different styles, etc., etc. But again, this is a different belief of how you can project that aspect of your faith within certain parameters, right? So why are we discussing this at such detail like this? My dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, the reason why we are doing it like this is because we're getting to the nitty gritty, that the mindset that we have. Yes, it's harder to fast outside of Ramadan. If you're in the habit of doing whatever, you're in the habit of doing anything bad or saying anything bad, it's harder to refrain outside the month of Ramadan. But in Ramadan, it becomes easier because everyone is doing it together. What does this teach us about life? My dear listeners, it teaches us that we can reflect the same thinking, the same mindset, because it's a mindset, right? We can reflect the same mindset into our daily lives. And what does that mean? It means that it allows us to realize that we have all the thoughts, all the primary resources. What are your primary resources? Your primary resources are not your health, or partly your health, but your status, or your what you own, or what job you have, or what your business is. That is not your primary resource. Your primary resources are what? Your primary resources are your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your mindset, right? So now, if in Ramadan you are able to automatically, excuse me, switch on, or rather switch off from eating and drinking, no matter how hungry you feel, how much you feel those pangs in your stomach, how tired you feel, unless it's a major health issue. If you are able to switch off in Ramadan, you can switch it off outside the month. But it's controlled, right? So we don't fast every day of the year. We keep that only for Ramadan. So what can we do outside? You have that switch inside you, that on and off switch. And that on and off switch, you can change that, and you can turn that on and off. So outside the month of Ramadan, you can cut down on certain foods. You can cut down on certain drinks. You can cut down on your bad habits. If you can't reduce, you can start to cut down, right? And you can slowly do that, slowly but surely. You can slowly reduce and cut away and cut down, right? What does Ramadan allow you? The Ramadan mindset. Because we go through the month and we try to read the Quran every day, reading one juz, which is, so the Quran, for those who don't know, the holy book for Muslims, divided up into 30 equal parts. You read one equal part a day, which takes approximately an hour, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit quicker, depending on your speed, and that's okay, right? Whatever level you're at, that's completely fine. But you try to read it in the whole month, because it's a blessed month of when the month of the month when the Quran was revealed. Fine, the spiritual benefits. But what happens to those people who can't read the Quran or aren't fluent at all, and it takes them maybe 2 hours or even 3 hours to finish one juz or more? How will they fit that time in their day if they're working in the day and so forth, and they've got to catch up on their sleep as well? They won't. So then it's like the same as if you don't have stamina and all of a sudden you start trying to run a marathon. You can't do it. There's no way you can do it. You've got to slowly build. So what do we do in Ramadan? If you're not in the habit of reading Quran or reading a whole juz a day, or if you're not able to do it, then go with half. If you can't do half, do a quarter. If you can't do a quarter, do a page. If you can't do one page, do half a page, right? Even if you do half a page, yes, you're not going to finish the Quran by the end of the month, but it's progress. And that's what matters, right? It's all about the progress. What is the progress you're making? My dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, any questions around mindset, Ramadan mindset, please send them in to WhatsApp 077 614 60614, and we will, inshallah ta'ala, God willing, answer all of your questions at the end. So we please do keep your questions coming and so forth. So, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, it is just like the story of the hare and the tortoise. And we all know the story of the hare and the tortoise. But let's backtrack to that story and remind ourselves, what is the story of the hare and the tortoise? We know that the animals were there one day, and the hare was boasting, and he challenged the tortoise to a race. The hare is like a rabbit, right? But faster. And he challenged the tortoise to a race, saying, I will beat you, I will defeat you. The hare said, I will win. And the tortoise said, okay, I accept a race with you. The animals looked astonished. They were all shocked that you're going to lose. What happened at the end? Sorry, what happened at the start? We'll get to the end. What happened at the start? They both start at the start line. And the hare and the tortoise, the hare starts running, taking the big strides, big, fast strides, right? And very quickly, the hare is way ahead of the tortoise, and the tortoise is going slowly and slowly and slowly, as the tortoise does. And the hare kept running on, and it was a nice sunny day, and the animals were there, and they were all watching and so forth. And the hare said, you know what? There's no tortoise about. The tortoise is not about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick nap, and I'm going to just slow down. And I'm going to take a quick nap. When I take that nap, after I wake up, then I'll just carry on with the race, because the tortoise, will be so far behind. Brilliant. So now the hare takes his nap, he goes to sleep, and then he wakes up, he gets up, looks around, no tortoise in sight. Brilliant, excellent, just as planned, and he runs to the finishing line, taking his big, fast strides, and the tortoise is nowhere to be seen until he gets to the finishing line. As he approaches the finishing line, and he can see from a distance the finishing line, and as he gets closer and closer, the animals are all cheering. And he gets happy that they are cheering for me, that yes, they're cheering, and they're cheering me on, and the tortoise is nowhere in sight. And until he gets so much closer, and he can see the tortoise in sight. He sees that the tortoise has crossed the finishing line, and the animals are celebrating, right? The animals are celebrating victory. And the tortoise is happy and turns around, and the hare is shocked, and then slows down and takes his time getting to the finishing line, right? And what does this lesson teach us? What does this story teach us? We've all heard the story, or most of us have heard the story when we were younger, and we've probably read it with our kids. What does this story tell us about Ramadan? Exactly what we are told in our faith by our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The greatest deeds and actions are those which are done continuously, and even if they are small. My dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, we try to take that big stride, and randomly, and in Ramadan, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do X and Y and Z. Slow down. Slow down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see your intention. God will see your intention, that you wanted to finish the whole Quran, but you couldn't because of your ability, because you were slower, but you weren't so fluent. But now when you are fluent, slowly over time will pass. So if you are here at the bottom and you want to be at the top, the first step cannot be at the top of the mountain or at the top of the ladder. You have to take each and every step one by one. And sometimes you will slip and fall down, and you have to then get up again, right? So you have to keep on taking each and every step one by one, up the ladder, up the mountain, etc. You cannot just take the first step as a stride to the top. It doesn't work like that, right? And if you go with such ego, just like the hare in the story, you will lose, you will collapse, you will fall. And not only will you fall, you will stay down, because there's nothing wrong with falling. Because when you, as a child, you would fall over in the playground all the time, playing, running in the playground, in the park. You'd graze your knee, you'd cut yourself here, cut yourself there, or whatever, etc. But would you stop running around? Would you stop climbing that climbing frame? Would you stop running up that hill? No. Yes, then we get through later in life, school, college, university, our work, and we want to do something, but then we don't because we're worried about what they will say. Why are we worried about that? Because just as a child, you were worried about when everyone else laughed at you in the playground or at school or in the park, they laughed at you. But now, as an adult, we are scared of them laughing at us. We keep telling ourselves we are not worthy, we are not good enough, we are not valuable enough, right? We are not worthy of this. And then we stay down. Or we have that fear of having that success. Or we have that fear of trying to make that move, trying to take that step and making a mistake, and then we fall down, right? And then we just stay down because we don't want people to taunt us. We don't want people to make fun of us. We don't want people to put us down, right? We're scared of what people say. We value other people's judgments more than what we value our own dreams and goals and desires, right? And you can have desires, right? But having good desires, having permissible desires, right? Because when you desire of, your physical desires, food and intimate relations, then excessively or outside certain boundaries, then that can be not allowed. But if you have them within proportion, that can be allowed, right? Within certain parameters, that's allowed. But when we are going through life, we forget that as a child, we fell down hundreds and hundreds of times and we got up again. People laughed at us, but we still carried on doing things. But then as an adult, we stop and we stay down. When adults, we are stronger physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We are more mature, more understanding, more wise than a child. And as an adult, we stay down. How strange is that? What a strange phenomena, right? As a child, when we don't have much wisdom, much knowledge, we keep running around, we fall down, we get up and keep going. We hurt ourselves and we get up and keep going. Yeah, as an adult, when we fall and when we hurt ourselves emotionally or physically or in any way, we stay down, right? So, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, taking that Ramadan mindset and doing things small, step by step, small actions, small steps as we go along, right? So if you start here at the bottom or wherever you start, and that's your starting point, if you are not fluent, for example, in reading Quran, then rather than aiming to read one whole juz, one equal of the 30th part every day, read half, read quarter, read one page, read half a page, break it down and say, right, then I will work on it. Then at least I've been consistent for 30 days. When was the last time I was consistent in reading some portion of the Quran for 30 days? It's probably been years when I was as a kid when I read it then, right? So why set your goal as a first step to be the top of the mountain? It doesn't work that way, right? Things in life, everything has a procedure. Everything has a process, right? You can't quicken the process and you can't delay the process. Some processes of nature, you have no control over them. But we can learn from Ramadan as well that we take things slowly. Learn from the hare and the tortoise, we take things slowly and slowly build. So if you are now only reading half a page every day for the month of Ramadan. And you keep that up, keep going every day now, right? Every day that becomes a time to build that habit. That 1 month is enough time to build that habit, right? You keep doing that. By the time you come for next Ramadan, inshallah, you will now be at a position where you can read so much more. Maybe even a whole juz, who knows? If not a whole juz, maybe a quarter of juz, maybe half a juz. It's progress, right? As long as you are making progress, because human beings are not made to stay in one place, right? Human beings are not made to stay in one place, because if they were, then we wouldn't be having this call today. We wouldn't be on this platform today. We wouldn't have our technology today. We wouldn't have our phones today, right? You wouldn't have your car, your house, your clothing, whatever. You wouldn't have this type of clothing. You wouldn't have this type of house. You wouldn't have this type of technology and everything if human beings were made to just stay put. Staying put, whether in Ramadan or in your life, right, in any area of your life, is against the laws of nature. It's against human nature. Human nature has been made to be progressive. You are better to be progressive slowly but surely, like the tortoise, than trying to be like the hare, full of ego and taking large strides, random strides, and just one-offs here and there. You are better to do small things continuously and build on those, because those small things, like a seed, that seed, the tiny seed, and it's that tiny seed that eventually grows and it comes out as a little shoot from the ground. And then it gets a little bit more and it's a thin tree and it's a short tree. And then it gets bigger and bigger and it gets bigger. And you get now trees. There are trees, if you look at, the size of the world's biggest trees and the widest trees, they're wider than what you can put your arms around. Yeah, how big was the seed? The seed was smaller than your eye, right? And the tree is now bigger than what you can put your arms around. Yeah, you can't even get your arms around it, and the tree is so big. This is exactly what will happen with your deeds and with your actions, with any good habits that you do, or any good, even if it's a bad habit. It starts off as a seed and it will then eventually grow and flourish and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And slowly, slowly, it will make its space and make room. And slowly, that one action that you do, so that half a page that you do now, or even one line a day, if that's all you can do, right? You do that, and I guarantee you, if you do it regularly every day, then by next year, inshallah, you would be so much further. Not even by next year, at the end of this month, you will be so much further. This is the Ramadan mindset, right? This is the Ramadan mindset so we have the tools, we have the resources, which are your thoughts, feelings, emotions, expressions. And we have control over our thoughts. You have control over your thoughts, right? You're not walking around your family, friends, relatives, your boss, whoever, or the imam or whoever are not mind readers, and they can't control your mind either. So to say that he made me do something, she made me do it, it's because of him, because of her, because of my parents, my husband, my wife, my children, the imam, the teacher, the Maulvi Sahib, the prime minister, whoever, right? You make that conscious choice. So whatever life we live daily, whatever prayer we choose to pray every day, we do that consciously. Whatever fast we choose to keep every day, with or without food, we do that consciously, right? Whatever we miss, we do that consciously, which is a reminder that if in the month of Ramadan we can choose to fast or not to fast, and yes, we should fast by our faith, we should, but it doesn't mean that every Muslim does fast. Every Muslim who is able to, as long as you are not sick or ill or elderly or a child or any other condition or any other situation that allows you to not fast, right? If you are in a situation where you can fast, you meet the criteria for fasting, and then you don't fast, That's your choice, right? Every day we make a choice. Every day you are making a choice on your life, on your behavior, on your actions. You are making a choice on how you respond to what people say, what they do, etc. to you, right? And we will talk about more of this in the coming shows, right? So for the month of Ramadan, every Saturday and every Wednesday, inshallah, at 1 o'clock or just after Zuhr, Azan time, I will have my show, the Mindset Show. Please, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, please tune in, share it with your family and friends, and put forward any questions you have around mindset and so forth, and we will explore these topics in a bit more detail. But it comes to let us know, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, it lets us know that we actually have a choice. And we have the control, we have the switch to that choice. Just like on your app, on your phone, you can choose what background you want on your phone. You can choose what ringtone you want on your phone. You can choose when you want to put your alarm on for. You can choose whatever goes into your calendar. You can choose what emails you open and respond to or not. You can choose what you eat, right? It shows us that everything in life is a choice. Are you making a choice that's benefiting to you? And the choices you make in life, are they benefiting you or are they hindering you? Are they holding you back? Are they holding you back in any area of your life? Be it in your health, wealth, relationships, finance, work, career, whatever aspect, right? Are you making choices which are holding you back? Or are you making choices which are slowly but surely helping you go forward and moving you go forward, which is a course of nature? Are you following the course of nature? Because it's against human nature to stay in one place. Similarly, just like a sports car or any car for that matter is made to be driven on the road, right? It only stops on the road, on the side, if it's broken down or if it needs to stop for any important reason or for a break or something or whatever, right? But but regardless, that aside, it will always keep driving. It will always keep moving on the road unless there's traffic, unless it's got to stop for a certain reason, or it breaks down, or it's something beyond its control. But look at beyond its control, right? We'll come to that in a moment. But look at actually first when you stop down intentionally. You stop when it's either broken down or when it's, you need to stop because it's important. You need to make a phone call. You need to check something. You need to go for a break or whatever. Just like in life, sometimes you need to stop and slow down. Sometimes when you get ill, sometimes when your body throws warning signs at you, you need to stop. And that's okay. What about when things happen, for example, traffic jams or bad weather, and you still get traffic jams, and then your road works and so forth when you're driving? You have to slow down and you have to sometimes completely stop. But when those traffic jams clear up again, when the traffic is now moving, do you stop or do you keep going? Naturally, you keep going. Yet, why is it then in life we stop at certain points, we stop at certain checkpoints, we stop at traffic jams, we stop at roadworks in life? Because we tell ourselves it's the thought and the mindset and whatever we say to ourselves, the inner voices and the dialogue and the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions, because it comes from a thought. Everything starts from a thought. Every action starts from a thought. The thought is the seed of every action. Because when you have that thought, then it slowly flourishes and you keep feeding into that thought. You tell yourself, right, okay, for example, when you need to wake up in the morning for your fasting to eat, your alarm goes off. Oh, I'll snooze for 5 minutes, snooze for another 5 minutes. But then on the other hand, now I need to get up. I now need to get up, right? And you tell yourself, so you have that thought to snooze, and you might snooze for a little while. But then again, someone might have that thought, or you get to that point and you have that thought, and then you snooze no longer. You have to get up no matter what, right? But then on the other hand, someone might snooze and they end up staying asleep, right? They stay asleep during that time. And what does that mean? That means that they have now missed that opportunity, that time of eating, and they are now fasting without eating, right? But you have a choice. So you follow on that thought, and every thought you follow on. When you follow on that thought, you feed into it more and more. And when you feed into it more and more, you build up a story inside your mind around that story, around that thought. Around that thought, you build up a story. You keep telling yourself, you keep talking to yourself, and the more you reinforce it, the more you feed it, the more you nurture that thought, it becomes a reality. Because then it builds up feelings and emotions inside. And then those feelings and emotions, they prompt you to take certain action in that way, right? Which means it goes to show what? Ramadan is a reminder, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers. Ramadan is the reminder that you have a choice on everything that you do. So if you find any area of your life, any area, excuse me, any habits, anything you do, anything you say, anything or certain foods that you eat or drink or whatever, right? Or if you're, oversleeping or undersleeping, or if you're overworked, or in your relationship, or any area of your life, or in your prayer, or in your spirituality, in your faith, if you are not getting the results you are wanting, it is because you are making the choices to get those results, right? So whatever thoughts you follow, you keep nurturing, and then they become emotions and feelings, and then they become your actions, and they become what you verbalize. So whatever you're verbalizing, whatever your action, is because they are the thoughts that you are feeding and nurturing. They are the thoughts that you are focusing on. Start focusing on thoughts that benefit you, thoughts that are more productive, and you will be more beneficial, right? You'll be beneficial to yourself, beneficial to your family, and you'll be more productive as a whole, right? And we will talk about that in other shows. So, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, we are now coming to the end of the show. Ask yourself, what is the thing that you have benefited from this show? Excuse me. So, just to sum up, we looked at the Ramadan mindset. What is the Ramadan mindset? And there's two aspects to the Ramadan mindset. The first aspect being that it's a social phenomenon that Muslims around the world, general population, they can wake up and they can get up all of a sudden. In the rest of the year, you might have someone who's not so strong in their faith, and they may not get up for morning prayer. They may not pray the evening prayer. They've got to eat every hour, right? But in Ramadan, all of a sudden, they're waking up 3:30 in the morning. They're having their food, or whatever time, and then they're having their food, and then they're praying, right? And they're refraining from food and drink and everything else during the whole many hours, right? Excuse me. Which is about 16 hours here in the UK. For those that are in the UK, from roughly about 4 or so in the morning to about 8 in the evening. And they're refraining from all of that and refraining from bad habits, etc. Right? That's the first mindset. Excuse me. Can't have any water. The second mindset, or the second aspect of this mindset is what? The realization that you have the choice, you have the ability to change your mindset, to change things that are happening in your life, right? You have that ability. Everyone has that ability. You are born with that ability. You're absolutely born with that ability to make those choices. Just look at a baby crying, or a toddler or a child, when they don't want to do something, or when that baby or that toddler doesn't want to eat that food, or you try putting that toddler to bed, at the age of 2 or 3 or whatever, and you try putting them to bed and they don't, because they're getting older and they're being mischievous. They have a few bites of their food and then they run off. Excuse me. You have the ability to make choices, right? But many of us make choices that don't serve us. Many of us make choices that don't benefit us. Many of us make choices that are detrimental to us, right? To our own selves. Now, Ramadan, this special month, is an amazing, amazing month, not just to grow spiritually, right? But to grow in every aspect. Because when you take out the basic needs and the basic human need and the basic human desires, which is food, drink, and physical relations, when you take out those base needs, which are survival needs of the human being, right? They're the absolute minimal, right? Because you can go without a house, without a home, right? People can live without a home, but they can't live without food and drink. People can live without clothes, even, right? They can live without their gadgets. They can live without their car, because there are people out there in those situations in the world, but you can't live without food and drink. And in order to continue the human race, you can't live without those physical relations, but you can, so you need those, right? So basic, absolute minimal survival needs. This is what this month does. It takes out your basic survival needs of a human being. So you're not spending so much time cooking and preparing food and going to the restaurants and queuing up in those massive long queues, right? Or whatever you're doing, etc., etc. You are now concentrating on the greater, wider picture. It is exactly the same as if you are looking just through a narrow vision or a wider vision. Because when you take out the filters, which are your basic needs and desires, you see so much more. You appreciate so much more, right? And you value so much more. And it allows you to heighten your senses and your awareness and focus on the greater questions of life, the greater importance, and really assess your life, assess every aspect of the good, the bad, the ugly, of what serves you, what doesn't. And you come to the realization of what? That you take small, steady, continuous steps, just like the tortoise, because life is not a race about who gets there first. Life is it is a marathon, about getting there, about getting to the finishing line, whatever that may be for you, right? Whatever it looks like for you. And it's all about the journey and the way. So, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers, other mothers, I trust that you have found today's show very beneficial, inshallah ta'ala. And by the will of Allah, you have found it very beneficial and productive. And you have been listening to the Mindset Show with your host, coach and trainer of NLP and hypnosis, Mubashar Latif, on Ramadan Radio. Thank you so much, my dear listeners. Jazakallah khair. Ramadan Radio 87.9 FM. And we will, inshallah ta'ala, I will be back on next Wednesday at 1 o'clock UK time. And I look forward, inshallah ta'ala, to seeing you then. Take care. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.